Hey everybody, just thought I would do a little bit of an update. I've been just sort of working on a project that I talked about on the Musty show, just painting up a 3D printed model for my daughter, and that's mostly what my painting's been, although I've started to work on some of the heroes that I put up in my last video. I think I mentioned in December that I had picked up a sizable amount of Chaos Daemons. Now, that was mainly for 6th edition. However, and the demons in the old world in Warhammer, the old world fantasy, are not, they're a legacy list, and so unless they've changed their plans, which they may very well do that, they're not going to be supported continually for the game. Having said that, they do have some nice rules, and I was watching a battle report and really liked the way they played, and after looking at the rules, after seeing the battle report, it just seemed very cool. So what I had recently done, because I had purchased about half these are 40 plague bearers there. They're the metal kind. I'll show them up close in a moment to show you the vintage, because I realize this is a sea of metal here mostly. Nothing painted, hardly, if at all. And so I got about half of those plague bearers, demons. I got these Nurglings, I got these Furies, and I got this Daemon Prince in a purchase last December. I showed earlier how I had Nurgleized this Daemon Prince, because he's normally looks fairly like not Nurgle in the style of the aesthetic. So I put the bug eyes and the one horn, and the rot in the stomach and some of the pustules on him, and I think it kind of came out kind of cool. Now, because I was sort of inspired by that battle report and looking at the rules, I decided to fill out the army a bit more. Now, although I 3D printed a really large kind of Forge World replica of a Great Unclean One demon, Greater Demon, I always really liked the metal one of this generation. This is in pieces right now. Even the arm I took off when I was transporting it. But it's this guy here. I realize it's hard to see. He's not completely black. They did try to dry brush, I think, some dark green on him. But he's got this hand here, fist, holding a chain with skulls behind it. But I always kind of liked this hunk of metal with this. I think one of the things I also really like is he's got this really big sword that he's wielding up in the air. Sometimes, like the other one I have, he's kind of holding it in front of him. He's huge, and he's just kind of got it down by his chest. This one, he's kind of charging forward, and he's also fits on a base pretty reasonably well for Warhammer Fantasy. And so I picked that Greater Demon up, which he's, in my mind, very much a necessity if you're wanting to do a Nurgle style Daemon army. A lot of these bases are on, it's a mixture. They're mostly squares, but there's a number of circular bases. The person I bought them from was probably maybe considering Age of Sigmar or something like that. The Furies are really used by every Daemon army. They're kind of like a really good unit, actually, in the game, but they're kind of like these little demons that all of the greater Daemon gods utilize in the game. And so that was the majority of the collection. One of the things I'll just point out real quick, oh yeah, I did have to, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier when I was showing these, but I did have to sculpt. The one thing is this guy had a hand that was missing, because it actually comes with this model comes with a hand that's removable. And so I did actually green stuff the same kind of hand, him pointing forward. And so that was the only thing I really had to do like that. Otherwise they were complete. That's the champion. I have only one command group at this point. I may pick up another one so I can split them into 2 groups of 20 with full command. Otherwise I may have to just shave these guys down. If I don't do large groups, I have to have a group without command. One thing I was just going to point out, I should show one that's painted, because some of these are. I think it shows it better. I have, everybody, you know what opinions are like, right? But everybody has their opinion on all of the various iterations of the Nurgle models over the years, and because they do change quite a bit from artist to artist because they're open for so much interpretation as far as the style and the aesthetic. I actually like most of the Nurgle models, and I can't really say that about all generations of most models, but even up to the current plastics that have been done, like I tend to like Plague Bearers in the way they've been portrayed over the years, and so I don't really have anything outright against model aesthetics of these. Not to fully geek out on this stuff, but yeah, we all, being into miniatures, do have opinions like that. But this is one where I do like most of them. Having said that, I'm still going with one style. I'm not using that as an excuse just to use... Like, I am using some newer stuff, and I'll show that in a moment, but as far as, like, within my Plague Bearers, I'm trying to keep within the same aesthetic. These were what available, and I was quite happy that they had these. I did kind of want metal models, if possible. I had read something once where people felt like these were the worst of all of the types of Plague Bearers that have been released. So if you go back, and maybe I'll throw up like little pictures on the left side of the screen here, but if you go back and you look at some of the originals, and then you can look at some of the more recent ones. I think somebody made the comment that all these were lumps of green stuff, you know, that they would, like, you know, they weren't really as good as far as sculptures as like the other ones. Now, I was, you know, not I don't even know if I owned them at the time when I read that. It was just somebody's opinion, like on a blog or something. But I thought about it. I was like, oh, you know, and it might even have been close to when I picked these up. I'm not sure. But I personally really like these. And I was thinking about it because I was looking at all the different models. And I was thinking, although like some of the earliest ones are fairly characterful in their faces and things, and kind of like the old orcs, like a lot of the old orcs original versions that I really like are really characterful in the faces, I actually think that these may be the Nurgling models, or the Plague Bearer models that are the most characterful that have ever been created. Because there's a number of different postures, and when you look at these, gosh, I gotta focus in here. When you look at these, I really feel like the amount of personality on these. I know these are really grotesque, and that's the way they're supposed to be. For those of you that are not sold on, even if you're into Warhammer Fantasy and watching, if you're not sold on Nurgle or the Chaos stuff, you may not be into this. But that they're supposed to be like, you know, rotting. That it's the god of plague and pestilence. And basically these are, everything represents that kind of. But I find, regardless of how you like the sculpting, that there's tons of variety and character in these ones. And so I'm quite happy to have actually gotten these. Would I have actually potentially collected an older edition if that's what became available, if that's what Destiny kind of provided when I got my first set, first 20? Maybe I would have, because I like the old stuff, as you guys know. But now that I've got this more middle hammer sort of version, I think I'm gonna stick with these, and that's kind of what I've done with the orcs too. High Elves is really the only army where I've mostly have an older collection. That's my thing I have to do before I die, because I've got this huge High Elf collection that I'm resistant to start for some reason, because I know it's going to be a big project once I start it. So, just this here, what I've showed, is close to 2,000 points. It's probably closer. I mean, like, I actually built a list in the Old World Army Builder, and just, you know how lists go up and down depending on how much stuff you add. I kind of did a list that I would like to do. It might have, it actually, I shouldn't say that it's just this here, because it actually is something I haven't showed yet. I did get this newer model, which is a plastic model for a Herald, because I need a Herald. I would like to still get a Herald on a Palanquin, which is like sort of a stand chariot kind of thing that a bunch of Nurglings is propping them up on, because you can have a Herald and add a Palanquin. I would like to have that, but until then, I've got this guy who is sort of an Age of Sigmar, Daemons of Nurgle, Poxbringer. I'm going to put him on a square base and use him as a Herald. So with the Herald, it's about 2,000 point army, which is standard army. I'm thinking I'm probably going to, in the meantime, 3D print some plague drones. They're basically these plague bears riding on big bugs. And then some beasts of Nurgle, which are kind of tentacled beasts that are special choices too. So I think I'm just going to 3D print some of those in order to play initially. And if I end up collecting them in the future, then I'll bring in the original models. But I think this will probably be good for me for now. And that'll actually put me above 2,000. I'll have to make choices. 40 plague bearers, I mean, these are expensive infantry, but 40 plague bearers is a huge chunk of the army. But having said that, it's a fairly elite army. Like having the Greater Demon and the Demon Prince, and then the Herald, that's like half your army right there in points. Now, something I may have shown, actually before I show this here, these Tzeentch stuff, I did pick this guy up yesterday. I'm a little not sure what I'm going to do with him, but he's technically like a rogue trader era of that time period, Nurgle champion. As I understand it, from quickly looking, he's actually a Warhammer Fantasy model that was meant to have a chaos gift of technology, and so he has this gun and this backpack. But he's technically supposed to be in the times of fantasy. He's just kind of gotten this gift from the future. He probably belongs more in my Mortals Chaos collection. Having said that, I don't know. I was wondering about maybe propping him up on something that I put together as a Palanquin, and that would be kind of cool for this army. And so I haven't decided on that yet, but he was kind of an easy, quick grab at my local store. Had him, and he was, I just figured since I've got both kind of armies going and they're both going for Nurgle, I do have a Warriors of Chaos army as well, like a burgeoning one. All of this stuff kind of works together for 6th, because, you know, if I play 6th, you can play the Hordes, and so I can use all this stuff together, which is kind of cool, but for Old World, it's separated out. There's nothing saying that I have to play just Nurgle, and I can't use other things from other Chaos Gods in the book. I don't know that this really makes a lot of sense from a gaming perspective, but I do have some nice bags of both pink horrors and blue horrors that I could swap in and out. I don't know at this point that they really bring anything to the strategy of a Nurgle army to bring them there. I have those for multiple reasons. I have them to use like in 6th edition, like I just talked about. I also have a very cool Thousand Suns old school army. I think I have 20 of the fixed position Thousand Sun Metal Tzeentch Renegades with other stuff like that. I do have some other things, like I have a Herald of Tzeentch, and it's the old model with the eagle head riding on a disc. I don't know if he's holding a globe or a staff, but it's something like that. I have some cool things for that army. Some of it kind of crosses over to this. I might be able to bring that in strategically for something. I could potentially have a Herald of Tzeentch in there. I don't know. I have to look at the rules again, because everything I plan to do is mostly for Nurgle for this. And so I have to see. But this is, it's interesting. I think I was going to put in the title of the video, you know, core games, but not core armies, because I am very much enjoying Old World, and like what I've done, I mean, essentially is I've got multiple army pursuits going on here. Like, I can play with the Beastmen easily. Like, I've accomplished what although I still have painting I can do for the Beastmen, I pretty much can play any point level conceivable, like, you know, needed, you know, for the Beastmen, with lots of models on the sidelines not being used. I have the Orcs and Goblins, which is sort of my focus, technically, and what I've really invested in recently, and I have a lot of painting to do for that. But then I have this, and this actually doesn't require that much painting to get this going. Like, really, if I got my Plague Bearers going here, the rest of it, I think, would follow suit pretty easily. You know, just this stuff here. And so this is fairly doable, and I'm kind of excited to try them on the table. And so, so yeah, like, you might be seeing this in the near future on the channel as well. And so, so that's kind of it. I hope everybody's having a good summer. Gaming has slowed down a little bit. I am probably going to potentially have a game next week. But beyond that, it's just kind of doing summer stuff and trying to do a couple little painting projects before I start another big unit or something like that. Okay, hope everybody's having a good one, and talk to you later.